Watch out for the youngster. He knows the
We'll
course.
start on my whistle sometime in the next 15 seconds.
10, 8, 3.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. We are in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin for CrossFire CX, a part of the Wisconsin Cyclocross Series. Off to a hot start. I think this is Alex V out here in front of me in his jorts and cut-off flannel t-shirt. I guess that's more of a button-up shirt, isn't it? Dry and dusty conditions. Beautiful fall day. If you guys have been following along, if you are subscribed to these videos, you will know that these are my kind of conditions. Not a huge fan of the cold and wet, sort of like traditional cyclocross stuff. I prefer dry, hot, and dusty. So we got Paul on the mic as always, and some interesting features coming up here. So this first one is like a coffin. Interesting little technical thing. We've got some plastic balls that kids were throwing totally mercilessly at riders. We've got Owen Reich here making an interesting pass on lap 1. So yeah, this first lap, you know, if you watched some of my last videos, you know, it's totally possible to have a disastrous start. I've been maybe a little bit more conservative lately, not feeling a ton of pressure to, you know, like be on the front immediately in these races. 60 minutes, it may seem like a short amount of time, but it's plenty of race to make up for mistakes if you make them. I take this high line. This is kind of like the second line. We will have a costumed Matt Riley coming around me. But if you've been watching the channel, you know that one of my new tricks this season in cyclocross is hopping barriers. And so this is like the second little problem here. Boom, get over this thing, getting up to, you know, like 700-800 watts and getting all the way up to the front of the race. So that's a little moment that I use basically every lap to my advantage. And this course, as you'll see as this video goes on, like, there are not a ton of like power sections. There's a lot of like little finesse, sort of like off-camber, twisty, turny stuff instead. And so on a lot of these sections of the course, there's like a speed limit, you know, and you can try and get over the speed limit and you may crash. And so I had to take advantage of these little moments like the barriers. There's a sort of little punchy climb here that we're about to come up on. That was another little moment to use like explosive power if you had it. And a lot of the other aspects of the course are like finesse. And so that, I think as a result of that, you know, like the race, our field basically stayed mostly together on this first lap. Got a little moment here. You've got to dismount, do some running, get back on, clip in, and try and get back on the gas. So I'm doing a pretty good job here, not going absolutely bananas on the front. As I'm looking behind me, you know, I'm seeing that there are still a lot of riders just lined out. So this right here is like almost a straightaway. This is another little moment on the course where if you wanted to, you could really put down power. So doing the best I can here without going too deep, and we're sort of back into these little finesse corners. So if you've raced here in the past on this CrossFire course, you'll notice that this year's course is a little bit different. You can see the shadows of some of the riders right there behind me, a few guys off to the left. So yeah, they changed this course up a little bit this year, which I can appreciate, while keeping some of the major like components. So yeah, we'll stick around here until the end of this first lap. I think what the most interesting part of this race was for me was later on. I have a chance to sort of go to battle with a local legend, like an actual local legend, not just a Strava local legend, in Brian Motter. Another chance there to see basically the rest of the field. But yeah, later in this race, Motter's kind of famous for a lot of different things. He's a mountain biker, has done a ton of racing. He has been called by someone other than myself what did they call him? Like the most winning racer that the state of Wisconsin has ever produced, which is pretty high praise.
You're on the course. You're on the course.
I had to let that guy know that he was standing on the course. Anyways, yeah, after this first lap concludes, we will skip ahead a little bit later in the race, and I'll do my best to sort of describe this battle with Motter that plays out. Okay, so that is one lap completed, still on the front here, and like I said, I'm basically trying to keep things pretty conservative. I'm not like fully invested or attacking this race right now. I'm just kind of trying to ride my own race, do my own pace, keep things smooth. If you guys watch NorCal cycling videos, you know his old moniker that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So keeping out of the chaos can be a benefit. Taking a little bit of a leap there off the little jump and hop in the coffin, Owen takes full advantage of that. And one thing I'd say about Owen this season, like watching him continue to progress as a rider, you know, he's being more aggressive in those key moments, which I think is really good for him. And he has to spoil the ending. He has a great result on the day and ends up on the podium in third place behind Motter and myself. So he's got a little bit of a gap here. I'm not like panicking, just kind of doing my own thing, getting through these pumpkins. This is again like the unofficial Halloween race of the Wisconsin Cyclocross Series, and so that's the reason that they have pumpkins, for example, or dudes in costumes. So I think I learned my lesson from the first lap. Going to stay on the low line this time. Again, this is one of those moments where you have an opportunity to see kind of what's happening in the race behind you. And I am going to take full advantage of this new skill set of mine and hopping barriers right here and see if I can't get back onto the front of this race. So yeah, perfect example there of why, like on this course, being able to get over that barrier and not have to unclip is a huge advantage, right? Like, if you're running up that hill, if you're remounting and starting from a near standstill, it's a huge disadvantage. And so yeah, I'm super stoked that I have the confidence now to get over those barriers without issue. So what's happening right now, I'm on the front here. I'm kind of looking back. I remember this in the race, you know, the field is starting to sort of get gapped by Owen and I. So taking a little bit more risk here. I see the opportunity to sort of stretch things out, and behind me there's a gap to Owen, and then there's a pretty significant gap from Owen back to the rest of the field. So if you're paying attention to the power numbers down there, you'll see that I'm putting a little bit more into this, but I, from previous race experiences, am fully expecting Brian to work his way back to me. So that's kind of the way that I have seen him race in the past. He has a tendency to sort of start slow, be super conservative early on, and then put his best lap in late in the race. So yeah, now that we have an idea of what this course looks like and what kind of the situation is, we will skip ahead a little bit to some of the other like defining moments on this day. Okay, so we're picking things up here. You may have seen on the start-finish there, we've got 3 laps to go. Race situation has been updated. Right now I've got a Brian Motter on my wheel, and he is making his pass for the first time in his lovely cutoff flannel and jorts. Motter has made a habit of coming out to CrossFire in the past, and I think that he's also made a habit of showing up in a costume, though I think everyone still knows who he is. And so, yeah, he's pushing the pace here pretty heavy. He had been sitting on my wheel for maybe a full lap after bridging up to me in the lead from Owen, who's now still in 3rd place. And you'll notice maybe that he stays seated, but he is, like I said, really pushing the pace here, trying to establish a gap. And in previous years, when Motter has done moves like this, I think I've always basically lost contact. So as you'll see, I'm going to use that barrier section, that new trick that I have learned, to sort of make up some ground and to stay connected with him as he's making this move. So you may have noticed there, if you were paying attention to what Motter had to do, basically was dismounting and running up that entire hill. I try to make an inside pass here. He gives me the space that I need, but I don't quite commit to that move fully, so he's staying on the front, but he knows that I'm right there with him. And so his sort of attack has been in more or less ways like neutralized here. And I think, you know, basically I can point back to just the problem of that barrier as being the difference. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking and let you guys check this out as I continue to battle it out with Motter, and I'll try and focus on a couple of additional key moments as we continue on. So one thing I want to point out in this next little section here, definitely obeying the speed limit traffic laws on that gravel. But this is one of those moments I pointed out to you guys earlier as like being a section that you can put down power. I'm getting up to like 700 watts, 186 beats per minute to stay glued on to Motter's wheel. And just in terms of like the psychology of that, I think when you're dangling, you know, when there's a gap between you and the rider in front of you, that is a huge motivator for that rider to continue to push on. And there's a little moment right here where, you know, Motter can definitely hear my brakes, he can see my shadow, he knows that I'm right there on his wheel. And so that is a sort of like a disincentive to continue to really push on. So I have basically at this point now reattached. We are coming through this final few little corners here. If you noticed on that gravelly corner, you know, that's another example of real speed limit on this course. You know, if you're trying to make up ground in those corners, you are risking catastrophe, more or less. You know, there's not a really good way of taking that corner any faster than what you can. And so coming into this little loop at the very end, I'm going to take it to the front. Motter's going to let me right past him. And I know that jumping that coffin is a thing that I can do, that Motter has been dismounting at, and I'm going to try and stay on the front coming into that barrier section, which is the only place really on this course where I feel like I have a bit of an advantage. And so as you'll see when we come through the start-finish, I think that this is 2 laps to go.
Cross races. He's been nationally ranked, gone to Europe, gone to the World Championships in cyclocross. This is going to be a battle. Hamper bunny hopping, moderate running.
So you may have heard Paul there on the mic, Paul Worlowski, giving a list of our accolades. It's true, I am the current 35 plus men's Masters Road Race National Champ. Brian has a long list of accomplishments that he's done throughout his career. Those include like racing at the Cyclocross World Championship. So tons of experience from Brian, and yeah, I've definitely got like the fitness and leg speed from my main focus, which is the road season every summer. So staying on the front here, trying to get to this barrier first, put in a little dig after, which we'll see, and see if that has any impact. Made a little effort there, got up to something like 900 watts after the barrier. We're catching riders from the back of the Masters field. But one thing that I noticed after putting in that little dig on the barrier section is that basically by the end of this, as we head into this little punchy climb here, you know, Mater has more or less made up that gap. And so that attack has more or less been neutralized. And I think that is just a testament to his ability to do that finesse technical aspect of the sport, like getting through those corners maybe just a little bit smoother than I am. And so the battle rages on. I'm going to take you guys to a moment later on in this lap, it's not too far ahead, where I think I have my first little mistake, so we'll go there next. We're back on this grassy section. There it is. I think I struck a pedal maybe, or just started pedaling too soon. One of the good things about being on the front, if you have an incident like this in cyclocross, is that more or less the people that are behind you are going to suffer the same consequences. So like if I had made that mistake behind Brian, you know, he's going to have a significant gap. Instead, maybe I'm able to use the shot of adrenaline from crashing to just get back on the gas immediately and get back up to Brian's wheel. So here we are coming into this final little turny section, definite speed limit on that gravel, and we're coming into the final lap. So I'll let you guys see how this goes from here. So here we are, final lap. You could hear the bell there as we came through. I'm going to take this little inside cheeky line here, get in front of Brian before the coffin and barrier. I know that he's maybe a little bit faster even on these little technical sections, the finesse little off-camber corners. So I'm going to do my best to stay on the frontier and get through this sort of colorful section of the course with coffins and plastic balls on the front.
Never wants to be in front going over the coffin. He gets over that safely. Ladder right back on his wheel.
So you maybe heard Paul there, right back on my wheel. You can see here in just a moment, a critical moment. He's going to pass on the left. You can see his shadow coming. I make a little mistake. I have to dab a foot. And Modder stays on the gas and starts to open up a little bit of a gap. And we'll see if I'm able to get that gap closed on this barrier section. So despite my best effort there, and being agonizingly close to Modder's wheel, he's got some broken tape there, I'm not able to sew up that gap. And this is one of the things that I think I really admire about Modder too, is just like he stays seated this whole time. It's kind of sneaky, but he is able to save his best lap for last, and paces his approach to these races so well, probably from the years of experience that he has under his belt doing these races, and in cyclocross and in mountain biking specifically. So yeah, I'm still in full chase mode, but that gap is basically not going to change. He's got 4 or 5 seconds right now. He sees that I'm maybe struggling to get back to his wheel, and so scoreboard: Modder 1, Michael 0. So yeah, I'll let you guys check out the very final moments from this last lap, and a little bit of a spoiler maybe. I end up in second place. Owen Reich is in third. The good news is that well, one, I didn't crash on my drive side. I suppose that's a plus. I don't have to spend time straightening my derailleur hanger. The other bit of good news is that I'm still learning a ton. I'm doing really well this season in cyclocross. I have a pretty significant points lead in the overall series, which I'm stoked about. That was one of my goals coming into this season. And I'm in really good form at the moment. I think that I'm close to being at the point where I can beat guys like Brian Modder. It's right there, not out of sight or out of touch. But yeah, he still has the fitness and the ability to pull out a win in these races while wearing a costume. Here we are coming into the finish, 5 or so seconds off the pace of Modder, and coming away with the second place. So thanks for watching. As always, if you aren't already, please subscribe for more videos. I'll do my best to share all of my thoughts and experiences from these races with you guys. Maybe you'll learn something like I have been, and we'll see you in the next one.